My name is J.L. Edwards. I come to you today with InfoWars. Have you ever wondered how several of our politicians, elected officials, even law enforcement, whether local, state, or federal, from time to time avoid prosecution even when criminal charges are evident, especially when there seems to be a clear violation of laws, policies, procedures, or even the oath of office? Well, today I'm here to tell you why. They apply this thing called the political question doctrine. The political question doctrine is the judicial principle that a court should refuse to decide an issue involving the exercise of discretionary power by the executive or legislative branch of government. Today I will be presenting, in their own words, how our former administration has successfully and continues to apply the political question doctrine to confuse investigations throughout our government.
They've done studies, 60% of the time it works every time.
That doesn't make sense.
Last October, you said that Hillary Clinton's private email server did not jeopardize national secrets.
I can tell you that this is not a situation in which America's national security was endangered.
We do assess that hostile actors gained access to the private commercial email accounts of people with whom Secretary Clinton was in regular contact from her personal account. We also assess that Secretary Clinton's use of a personal email domain was both known by a large number of people and readily apparent.
Since then, we've learned that over 2,000 of her emails contained classified material. 22 of the emails had top secret information.
From the group of 30,000 emails returned to the State Department in 2014, 110 emails in 52 email chains have been determined by the owning agency to contain classified information at the time they were sent or received.
Can you still say flatly that she did not jeopardize America's secrets?
I've got to be careful because, as you know, there have been investigations, there are hearings, Congress is looking at this, and I haven't been sorting through each and every aspect of this. Here's what I know. Hillary Clinton was an outstanding Secretary of State.
On November 7th, 2011, the Supreme Court is set to hear oral arguments in the case of Zivotofsky versus Hillary Clinton in her capacity as Secretary of State. Facts of this case are relatively straightforward. In late 2002, the Zivotofskys gave birth to a son in the city of Jerusalem. Both of the parents are U.S. citizens, and requested specifically to have the child's place of birth recorded on the passport and consular record of birth abroad as Jerusalem, Israel. And they were denied this request, and instead the State Department continued its common practice of recording the city of birth only. This case really presents some very fascinating issues that could have some far-reaching implications. The first is really about the application and more or less the parameters of the so-called political question doctrine, which is really just a rule applied by courts when the court feels that this is a question that should not be entertained by unelected judges, but is better left to the political branches of government, Congress, and the executive.
She would never intentionally put America in any kind of jeopardy. And what I also know, because I handle a lot of classified information, is that there's classified and then there's classified. There's stuff that is really top secret, and there's stuff that is being presented to the President or the Secretary of State that you might not want on the transom or going out over the wire.
The evidence I'm looking at suggests that President Barack Obama spoke that word into law. And the taped program October 10th of 2015, he said Hillary Clinton was careless but not intentional. That program was aired on October 11th, CBS 60 Minutes. And I have the article printed in the New York Times. That's dated the 16th of October, the article that references the October 11th, where it says in this article, quote, Mr. Obama said he had no impression that Mrs. Clinton had purposely tried, quote, to hide something or to squirrel away information, close quote. Continuing, in doing so, Mr. Obama spoke directly to a core component of the law used against Mr. Petraeus, intent, and said he did not think it applied in Mrs. Clinton's case. So I'm going to suggest that the president suggested that language through the open medium and spoke the word into the law that it require intent, which shows up throughout in the following months, in particular in James Comey's July 5th, 2016 exoneration, let's say a summary of the prosecution / exoneration statement, 6 times that word intent. And I find it no place else. Would you have any comments on your thoughts of how that might have been, the genesis might have gone back to the President of the United States on that idea?
Basically, stuff that you could get in open source.
But last October, you were prepared to say she hadn't jeopardized, and the question is, can you still say that?
I continue to believe that she has not jeopardized America's national security. Now, what I've also said is that, and she's acknowledged, that there's a carelessness in terms of managing emails that she has owned and she recognizes.
No, there was a server that
one?
was already being used by my husband's team, an existing system in our home that I used, and then later, again, my husband's office decided that they wanted to change their arrangements, and that's when they contracted with the company in Colorado.
And so there's only one server, is that what you're telling me? And it's the one server that the FBI has?
The FBI has the server that was used during the tenure of my State Department service.
How many emails were exchanged on the unsecured server between Hillary Rodham Clinton and President Barack Obama?
I don't know the exact number. We can go back and look. We understood he was one of 13 individuals in that.
Do you have any sense of the volume that was exchanged between the Secretary of State and the President?
I can get back to you on that. I'd have to refresh my recollection on that one.
This is so key. This is so key. So here's the story. The president, whether it be Lyndon Johnson or Barack Obama, politicizes the FBI and the CIA and then uses it as its own arm of power to spy domestically. I mean, this is bombshell. They've been doing it for decades. Trump just exposed all of it. Trump literally just exposed all of it. Obama did everything they all else did with the CIA and the FBI. Trump just exposed all of it.
But I also think it is important to keep this in perspective. This is somebody who had served her country for 4 years as Secretary of State and did an outstanding job, and no one has suggested that in some ways, as a consequence of how she handled emails, that detracted from her excellent ability to carry out her duties.
Mr. President, when you say what you've just said, when Josh Earnest said, as he did, your spokesman, in January, the information from the Justice Department is she's not a target, some people, I think, are worried whether or not the decision, whether or not how to handle the case will be made on political grounds, not legal grounds. Can you guarantee to the American people, can you direct the Justice Department to say Hillary Clinton will be treated as the evidence goes, she will not be in any way protected?
I can guarantee that. And I can guarantee that not because I give Attorney General Lynch a directive. That is institutionally how we have always operated. I do not talk to the Attorney General about pending investigations. I do not talk to FBI directors about pending investigations. We have a strict line and always have maintained it, previous presidents.
Just to button this up.
I guarantee it. I guarantee that there is no political influence in any investigation conducted by the Justice Department or the FBI, not just in this case, but in any case.
And she will be
full stop, period.
And she will be treated no differently?
Guaranteed, full stop. Nobody gets treated differently when it comes to the Justice Department because nobody is above the law.
Even if she ends up as the Democratic nominee?
How many times do I have to say it, Chris? Guaranteed.
More clarify my question. Yep. Actually, the insertion of the word intent as a condition to a violation of 793, when did that word first find itself in the dialogue that you looked at?
That is in the dialogue months earlier, well before the investigation reached its conclusion.
About when would you guess that is, the months earlier?
I'd have to.
In 2016?
It's in 2016.
Not in 2015.
I'm not sure whether it went back that far, although frankly it could have.
Final thoughts. We already found out that the president lied when he said he found out about Hillary's private email server when everybody else did. Now we find out he's one of the 13 people she communicated with on the private server with using that private email account. So he lied about that.
When you add to the fact that Peter Strzok says in one of his text messages the president wants to know everything, the question's very clear. What did the president know, and when did he know it? He needs to answer that question. I think he needs to answer it under oath to the Congress.